Hey y'all, Gabe the Nutritionist here. I want to talk about, heart attacks, people having a stroke. Something that makes me really angry when I look at a bunch of doctors, right, that give, advice, or dietitians is, you take a statin, you take these drugs, you'll somehow magically prevent a heart attack, even though the root cause, it does nothing. Dietitians too, they're guilty of this. They're always saying things like, oh, you can eat high carb, low fat, eat the seed oils, very healthy. But people still have heart attacks, so their advice doesn't work. And I'm not saying that because I'm arrogant or, but the facts are people are still dying, right? And we're looking at people that are supposed to be healthy, they're in their 50s, they're ripped, they worked out, and they're dead. Or, by the will of God, right, they live. But after you live, right, you live in fear of having a heart attack again, right? People want to prevent a heart attack. It's really important to prevent a heart attack because if you don't do that, right, you worry about your family, your friends, and if you're not here, right, then you worry about, your family and your friends and your children. You're gone, and, it's not good to live in fear. But as a nutritionist, I've worked with people that are, got their heart attacks. They've tried their best, right? They do everything right. They take all the pills, they take the statins, they follow the advice, and they got heart attacks. But what do I do different, right? What I do different, right, is I don't make you eat salads. I don't make you work out all the time. I don't make you do things you don't want to do. At the end of the day, right, you get a heart attack because you're full of inflammation, you're full of oxidation. The advice they give you doesn't help with the inflammation. It doesn't help with oxidation at all. And by the time you know it, right, your LDL, which is not bad, but it becomes damaged. And when your LDL becomes damaged, and it's in your blood vessels, and you got a clot, you got macrophages, you got the bone cells. By the time you know it, boom, you get a heart attack. And what makes me really angry is this is preventable, right? If people knew what to do, you could prevent heart attacks. You could live longer, you can enjoy your family, your friends, your grandchildren, because think about it, people that get heart attacks, they're older, right? They've had a lot of years to build up inflammation and damage. And now we're seeing young people get heart attacks, right? 40 years old, right? In some instances, people are, 28, 25, even a 15-year-old, the other day, right? So what are we doing wrong? Well, one thing I've noticed from helping people that are type 2 diabetic is when I help them, they don't get heart attacks either. So there's something I'm doing right, something interesting. But not just that. You also have coronary artery, your CAC score. I've helped a lot of my clients hit 0, which is really amazing, right? It's simple, it's easy to do. All my clients have a 0 coronary artery score, right? They go get the test, it's always 0 or, very low. So I'm doing something right. People like me. I have years of experience helping people become healthier, right? And my argument is always, it's the food you eat. If you eat the wrong foods, you eat processed foods, you eat junk foods. And not just that, but I've seen people that are, eating healthy, right? Salads, vegan, vegetarian, all sorts of bullshit, actually. And they still get heart attacks. I don't want to talk about this, but I know someone close to me that went full vegan, full vegetarian, got a full-blown fucking heart attack. But that they were doing the right thing. And what's even worse is they were doing it for spiritual reasons. This diet full of plants, and yeah, I got a heart attack. I mean, thank God he lived, right? But the whole point is we can't delude ourselves into thinking what health is. Let me teach you what health is. Because there's a lot of gurus on the internet saying, do this, this, and that, right? But they have no clients. Why are you listening to someone with no clients? That gets no feedback, that doesn't change when things go wrong, it doesn't improve upon, what they do. Stop listening to people on YouTube. Hire me, a nutritional therapy practitioner, and I'll help you get through this. Because we want to prevent heart attacks. If you prevent heart attacks, and in my humble opinion, right, you prevent type 2 diabetes, you prevent Alzheimer's disease. I'll teach you certain things to make your bones stronger. So yeah, if you're interested, and even if you're not interested, right, but let's say, you're a young man or woman, and you're really worried about your mom, your dad, your uncle, your aunt, your grandparents, right? Yeah, you consult with me. I'll teach you what to do And you could teach your grandparents, your parents, or your aunts and uncles, right? Because they're old, they don't really get technology, you know? I always should do phone calls with older people, but I prefer teaching younger people, right? Because if I teach you, and you go to your parents, and you teach them, then you have the knowledge to help yourself, and when you have children growing up, right? Because the whole goal, right, is to get people healthy for the next generation. If we keep doing what the dietitians are saying, what the doctors are saying, we're not getting better. There's something called insanity, right? Where we do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, you're fucking crazy, because the thing that got you there and stuck in the first place, and you keep doing it, stop doing it. It doesn't work. All right, so if you want, reach out to me. My DMs are open. Send me a message. And I'll help you, right? Just comment, help, right? And I'll send you a link to my $1 intro consultation, and we'll talk about what I can do for you. And then from that, we'll transition into a full-blown program, and I'll help you get healthier. I'll teach you what you got to do, what to eat, what to avoid, so you live a happy, healthy life, a vibrant life. Because so many people take life for granted. And unfortunately, I'm a big believer in preventative care, right? But I only get people that come see me after they get a heart attack. Why do you gotta wait for that? If you wait for a heart attack, you could literally die. Or the chance you live, God willing, you live, right? And you learn from your mistakes, but why even have it in the first place? I don't think it's an experience anybody wants to have. So yeah, leave a comment, message me, and we'll talk about this. Because I want people to live in a healthy world where the next generation can prevent this and previous generations of mistakes. We can get healthier. We have the knowledge. We've been doing this kind of stuff, but it doesn't come from, modern contemporary ideal-like thinking, right? It comes from new thinking that gets you new results for a better future. All right, y'all. Thank you. Love y'all. Have an amazing day, and goodbye.